you mentioned something about burger.
Yeah.
And you brought a whole bunch of food for us when we got here.
Tasting
you brought
menu.
like 20 bags of food. And you're telling me you want to invest, you want to buy a burger?
Oh yeah, I think as far as cash flow opportunities, again, to get to that goal, I'm looking for cash flow, which sometimes
It's so stupid because you have the cash flow right in front of you. You have a pot of gold that's right here.
What,
and you're thinking,
YouTube?
well, yes.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yes, but you're like you have all the money right here, and you're like, ooh, what's this over here? And maybe I could do this over here and buy, arbitrage this interest rate over here for a few $100s. It's like it's stupid for me because I see like all this opportunity right here.
Well,
and
I don't want it to take away from
things.
this though. Like I already have in place a full-time operator who would run it for me completely. So like again, it wouldn't take much mental energy. I like outsourcing.
So explain what burger is for people not familiar. You schooled me on
the best burger I've ever had.
Okay.
Personally, I know you disagree with that Jack in the audience who likes In-N-Out for some unhumane reason. It's incredible. It's a local spot opened in a gas station a year and a half ago. It's fantastic. It's owned by a dude who's done actually really successful businesses in Toronto, and then he moved down here during the pandemic because everything was like closed up there, and he just didn't want that, I guess. And he started this place. It's just like the most fresh food you can get. Everything, the meat is ground on a daily basis at the store, and it is so good. It's affordable for the area. That place is always popping. People are getting deliveries like crazy, and I for legal reasons can't talk about their numbers, but they make money. So even like the 12% cash on cash return I get on some rental properties, like if I can do better with some money I put into something, I feel like.
So how much money would you invest in something like that?
It's going to depend on the location because there's going to be build out, right? Physical build out. So that would be the expensive place. He's not going to, since I'm going to be the first franchise owner, and then obviously I have the media presence, I'm not going to have a franchise fee. And until it's well profitable, I'm not going to be paying anything on a monthly basis back to him. So it's almost like an independent offshoot until it's successful. So the finances up front would be, whatever inventory we need. And then obviously the build out of a location.
Build out is expensive. So I looked into doing a franchise.
And rent of location.
And I got to the point of having a franchise contract ready in my email, reviewed by attorneys. And I was one signature away and I decided against it. The cost is through the roof. It's going to take way more money than you expect. Mine would be a small franchise. Not even a big one, a small one. Similar to you, more of like a startup.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars is how much it takes for the build outs. Hundreds of thousands. And it's going to take longer than you expect. So I think you're probably looking at, if it's anywhere similar to mine, and the food's somewhat similar, it was like $500,000 to $700,000, depending on how high end you're going with this.
Yeah.
That's how much it is. So when you're talking about basically betting your net worth on a franchise,
I know.
That's silly. It seems, I don't think you're at the point where you could make FU investments. A franchise is something you do when you have FU money, when you've made it, and you're like, I could afford to light this money on fire and I wouldn't even care or notice. Then you could start making burger investments. You're not at the point, you have everything. You have a winning lottery ticket and you want to make a side bet, betting that lottery ticket that, maybe I could do better over here. The other issue that I see with franchises, you're stuck on that lease. You're signing a long-term lease on it. Usually those leases are like 5 to 7 years, and then you're negotiating options beyond that. What are you going to do in the event that business is not doing well? You're $600,000 in the hole. You have a monthly payment of $5-6 grand a month. The business is losing money. You're dealing with employees who are quitting. High turnover rates on franchises, by the way. Yeah. A lot of insurance costs go into that too. A lot of expense. You're also at the whims of whatever the food people want to charge you for the cost of the food. There's so many variables. You also have to consider the location that you want to get in. One location could be really successful, while the other's not.
Yeah.
So you're building out a brand new audience somewhere else who's not used to going into the Buddha Burger. This is not an investment I would ever do.
Ever.
Unless you have so much money that you just don't care. Like this is a fun investment that you should value at zero because you don't have experience in the food industry. You're relying on other people without the experience.
Please, sir, I delivered Jimmy John's for like 4 years.
Excuse me. You've eaten quite a lot of burger, so you do have experience with the place. Yes. But managing a business like that, you don't have the experience. You're relying on other people, and you're fronting all the money. You're taking all the risk on this.
Yes, absolutely.
If you were taking all the risk, don't do a franchise. You can come up with your own thing, own 100% of it. You could be.
I can't make a burger as good as them, though.
I would beg to differ.
The reason I'm attached to them is because I think they have an amazing product and process.
I don't see it. And I don't think you should be fronting that amount of money. That's a lot of money. You're taking on 100% of the risk. The owner of Burger is getting all the benefit because now your name is attached to Burger, automatically gives it a lot of credibility. He could easily sell other franchises because he could say, well, if Caleb Hammer did it, then, and he's the money guy, then it's a good investment because if the money guy is doing it, you should do it too. So
just too high risk for you. This is out of your risk zone.
It's not only too high risk, but you don't have the finances to support it.
Yeah.
You're 8 months in something, and I think you're getting ahead of yourself.
No,
here.
I think you're right.
It's like what I kind of did when I started making more money on YouTube. I thought of, and I heard someone else say this, they based their income spending finances on like 3 years prior. And so I heard something like that, and I thought to myself, would 3 years ago me approve of this purchase? If 3 years ago me would say, no, that's too much money, that's stupid, I didn't do it. Not until the point where I thought 3 years ago me, okay, can afford it, it's reasonable, I'm not making a stupid decision. If I need, if things, if I needed to sell it, I could sell it and get my money back. This is a huge liability. And 3 years ago you would never have done this investment. Based on 8 months of income doing well on YouTube, you also have to consider what happens in that 5 to 7 year lease, if something happens to YouTube and that burger's not doing well for whatever reason, maybe just a bad location, maybe just people aren't jiving with it. Realistically, it's probably just going to be more money than you expect. It's going to be a higher rent than you expect, higher employee turnover. Training employees is critical.
The operator, that's what the operator is for.
Of course. But even with a great operator, you're still going to have a very high employee turnover. That was one of the things that I really disliked about the franchise thing. I almost franchised. It was one of those frozen yogurt places. Almost did that. And that was 2013 or 2014. I went between that and getting a rental property. And I liked the frozen yogurt franchise because I thought, wow, I could make 25 to 30% on my money versus a rental property that at best is going to be doing about 8 to 9%. So why wouldn't I take the 30%? I ended up taking the rental property. I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
My friend did the frozen yogurt franchise. Horrible. Now, unfortunately, a lot of this was not due to him, but employee turnover. He was there every day. Because if your employees aren't there opening at 9 a.m., they'll call you at 8:35.
Yeah.
Place has to open at 9 because it's a franchise. What do? Sorry, I can't make it. Just not feeling well today. Yeah, you could let that person go, but you still have to be there physically to open up the store. He was there like 7 days a week from open to close. And sometimes you'd be there at open, have employees during the day, and then employees would leave early. Say, hey, I got to go. Something came up. And he would have to go there to close the store. Holidays too. COVID ruined him. And the franchise requested that he stay open during a lot of the days that Los Angeles was, for the most part, shut down. So he would remain open, even though like only a few people would come in. And he said that it cost more to stay open than it would be just to close and pay all the rent and pay all the overhead. Like it would cost him money. So like I hear all of these stories and I think for a franchise, it's not worth the headache. And you're not at the point, if you had, let's just say $20 million, consistent income of $50,000, $70,000 a month, and you say, I love this burger place, this is a hobby of mine, I could write this off to zero, I don't care, I just want to support the owner, consider this then like a gift to the owner. Be like, I like this guy, I like the food, I'm gonna throw some money and see what happens. And write it off as zero. Because I see this as like a startup investment. Like if you were to invest in a startup with a 1 in 100 chance of ever making it, that's essentially what this is.
They have a proven model though. And if it's open,
they have one store. They don't have there's no franchise. There's no proven model. Well, they have one store that's successful.
Store has proven itself. And if
that's not a franchise though. You want a franchise. And you're like, no, one store has done well. That doesn't mean it's repeatable. I've also seen one-off stores do well. They try to repeat it in another location. Doesn't do as well for whatever reason.
Same metro area though.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
What would you think about a lower cost food truck, which is very popular? Food truck courts are huge here, and that would probably be half or a third.
Why do you want to do
cost.
all these things?
Okay, so the question
much,
you asked
me,
the question you asked me is a big question. What if the YouTube income dries up?
But it's not.
Well, We don't know.
But you're focusing on all these other things. You're focusing on all these other maybes
if
and
the
what
YouTube
ifs.
income dries up, that's where I want.
But it's not drying up right now.
Not right now, but you would want something in place, though. And that's where my idea behind a side business.
Eventually. But here's the thing. If YouTube dries up, you definitely don't want to be tied to a franchise that's a coin flip of being successful or not. You don't want to be tied down.
You lack faith.
Huh?
You lack the faith.
The franchise that I wanted to do was the best product that I've had in that category. The best by far. I love it. And I still eat there. I still decided against it.
You've clearly been very successful in the YouTube game. You have a substantial making of piles of monies and things like that. So my philosophy always is, if people know more than you, lean on them. So I will take your advice on the franchise.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
I think here's the way I see it. You have something very good going on. I would take all of your resources, all of your mental energy, double down on the channel.